Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 2025 New Hampshire Saves Business Partner Event. My name is Chris Patrick, and I am supervisor of our large commercial and industrial team at Eversource. And on behalf of Liberty, the New Hampshire Electric Co-op, Unitil, and Eversource, I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for being flexible, congratulate you for all of your support and contributions in 2024, and celebrate the improved ecosystem we are privileged to do this great work within. It really is this community that makes all of this happen, so we're genuinely delighted to have you join us today. Today's event is an opportunity to learn about program updates, to network with utility peers, and most importantly, join and participate in the breakout sessions. We encourage you to join as many breakout sessions that you can and join the conversation. Each of the breakout sessions provides a detailed look at the program offerings and are designed to help you find the best fit for your business and your customers. Before we get started, some quick housekeeping. Today, we will record all of our breakout sessions, and they will be available for playback on the New Hampshire Saves website. So if you see two with conflicting scheduled time slots, you will be able to go back and watch the recorded sessions at a later time. And just a quick note, during this opening session, there will be no Q&A, but each of the individual breakout sessions for the remainder of the day will have staff members to help answer your questions. As of January 1st, we proudly celebrate being 1/3 of the way through our ambitious 3-year plan. I encourage each of you to harness the momentum we've created over the past year to reach even greater heights for our valued customers. Your unwavering commitment has been essential to our success, and I am deeply grateful for your dedication to our New Hampshire customers. The year 2025 is a turning point for us, allowing us for the first time to build upon foundations that we've laid over the past 12 months. With 2 years ahead of us, we have an incredible opportunity to make a lasting impact. Here are some of the key benefits of our 3-year plan approach. Increased confidence. This empowers all of you to hire talent that is dedicated to executing our long-term strategies and reinforcing our commitment to support our customers in the region. Customer assurance. Our customers can trust in the stability of this 3-year plan period to manage complex, long-term projects, knowing that our commitment is steadfast. And flexibility. We're free from the pressure of a single year-end deadline, allowing for deeper, more meaningful conversations with customers about what truly serves them the best. This adaptable 3-year plan strategy is a hallmark of successful energy efficiency programs. Let's seize this opportunity to inspire and uplift our customers while achieving remarkable results together. Let's take another look again at the highlights of this plan. $675 million in savings for our customers. Energy efficiency dollars are leveraged and create $2.27 in benefits for every dollar spent. I can tell you from experience that as we continue to gain momentum and implement significant projects, this leveraging is likely to go up over time. The work that you do over the 3-year plan period will be the equivalent of 42.5 megawatts of summer peak savings when we need it the most. And while we are at it, 2 million tons of greenhouse gas reductions. This and the next few slides have been pulled directly from a presentation on the plan to the regulators. Put in terms that we can work with every day, this plan represents 2.6 million megawatt hours in lifetime savings. It is a substantial budget collectively of $215 million over the term. And we deliver savings electrically at 8.3 cents per kWh. This makes energy efficiency the first fuel. In other words, this investment is still more cost-effective than most other capacity additions to the grid. For natural gas savings, we're at 6.45 million MMBTUs plus a $39 million investment at a cost of $6.02 per lifetime MMBTU. From the New Hampshire Department of Economic Development, I note that key industries for New Hampshire include advanced manufacturing, life sciences, technology, and tourism and hospitality, with the thousands of companies listed and hundreds of thousands of people supporting them. In terms of delivering projects, this matches very well with the types of companies we help every day, along with the work we do to help municipalities in the state. From computer and electronics product manufacturers to life sciences companies, to chocolate makers and beer brewers and snowmaking guns on ski resorts, we have a tremendous diversity of customers who enjoy our work. In terms of the way we execute, lighting offers powerful solutions with visible benefits, and we are continually enhancing our capacity to implement lighting controls. Each effort we put into this work creates value. With HVAC systems accounting for around 65% of energy use in commercial buildings, we have a significant opportunity to drive savings. In New Hampshire, we stand ready to adapt and support our manufacturing and industrial customers, ensuring that our collaboration remains strong and effective. As we engage with our customers, let's remember the strength in bundling measures rather than approaching them individually. This approach not only maximizes savings, but reduces disruption. Now, I want to take a moment to briefly review the different ways to work within the programs so that you can identify a program that best suits the needs of your business and your customers. And once again, I'll note that we have an agenda today filled with breakout sessions that will enable detailed reviews for most of these programs. And I encourage you to attend each session to learn more. Within the New Hampshire Saves commercial program, eligible customers are any business customer on a non-residential rate. Rate classification descriptions may vary between utilities, but any non-residential account may participate in our programs. This includes nonprofits and municipalities. Essentially, all the municipalities are businesses for the purposes of the New Hampshire Saves commercial programs. Municipalities include local, county, and state government buildings, which includes facilities like police departments, fire departments, town city halls, public schools, libraries, wastewater facilities, etc. In addition, there are other fuel blind offerings available to them. And lastly, municipal accounts and municipal electric territories are independent town-run utilities that do not pay into the system benefit charge that funds these programs. There are 5 municipal electric territories. They are Ashland, Littleton, New Hampton, Wolfboro, and Woodsville. It's important to note that only municipal buildings within those municipal electric territories are able to participate in the New Hampshire Saves programs. New Hampshire Saves offers several ways to engage with our customers to help align with the needs of your business. Some of the ways include the Instant Midstream program, the Direct Install Turnkey program, the Prescriptive Application program, the Custom Application program, and our whole building performance pathway, as well as technical assistance. Note that these offerings are mutually exclusive, so you or the customer would not be able to participate in multiple programs for the same measure. In addition, these programs are completely independent of federal tax credit or federal tax deductions that may be available. The Instant Discount Midstream program offers the simplest approach for businesses and contractors to participate in our program by providing instant incentives at the point of purchase. These programs encourage distributors to stock the high-efficient products to ensure that they are readily available for purchase. It also removes the need to front the value of an incentive and wait to be reimbursed for the program at a later date. As you can see here, there are multiple instant midstream offerings available for electric and gas customers. Please be sure to join us while we will review this in more detail at the 11 o'clock breakout session later this morning. For Direct Install or Turnkey program, the vendors offering these services are selected through an RFP process with an emphasis structured around the pursuit of building comprehensive projects with multiple measures. For our customers, these programs offer no-cost energy audits of customer facilities that result in turnkey efficiency project proposals with approved incentive contributions. This is a streamlined approach which results in higher conversion rates for contractors, and each of the representative utility brands groups brings credibility to the contractor marketing efforts. In addition, there's a customer-directed option, which allows our customers to select contractors that are not in the direct install program to perform these installations and receive assistance with rebate processing. Please be sure to join us where we will review this in more detail at the 9:30 breakout session. The prescriptive program covers the installation of common high-volume measures such as lighting and lighting controls, variable speed drives, chillers, and some other HVAC equipment, typically found and installed in larger customer facilities. Incentives are predetermined amounts based on the equipment in the application. Pre-approval is required before starting work to ensure eligibility and project qualification and to set clear expectations for our customers. All of the applications can be found on the New Hampshire website. For all other project measures not found within our prescriptive applications, we have the custom application. A custom incentive pathway refers to a program where businesses can apply for energy efficiency incentives for projects that don't fit into a standard predefined prescriptive category, allowing to receive funding for unique site-specific upgrades or installations that require a more tailored evaluation of the energy savings potential, usually involving a detailed energy analysis of the project and its expected energy reduction impact. The whole building performance pathway is a custom incentive program for new construction projects. This program is a performance-based program that provides technical assistance, including cost sharing, to help with project incentive packages. Please be sure to join us where we will review the new construction program in more detail at the 10:15 breakout session today. Before I move on to our keynote speaker, this is a reminder that today we want our program to be interactive and we want to hear from you. Your feedback is valuable to us, so as the day proceeds, please be sure to click the Q&A icon to enter your questions so that we may answer them. All right, folks, without further ado, our keynote is Michael Skelton. Michael currently serves as President and CEO of the Business and Industry Association of New Hampshire, the state's leading business advocate and statewide chamber of commerce. Previously, Michael served as President and CEO of Greater Manchester Chamber, the state's largest regional chamber of commerce. Michael also previously served as a media spokesman for Eversource, the state's largest electric utility, and as VP of Government Affairs for the Greater Manchester Chamber. In total, Michael has more than 15 years of leadership experience in the Chamber of Commerce industry and brings a background in public relations, media relations, economic development, and government affairs to his roles. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Skelton.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Chris, for that introduction, and to New Hampshire Saves for the opportunity to be here this morning. Excited to spend a few minutes with you and talk to you about the state of New Hampshire's economy, our economic competitiveness, and some key issues ahead. In thinking about the conversation today and knowing the work that you all do, I thought that this view of the state's economy and economic competitiveness might be valuable as you're out talking to businesses and organizations and thinking about their energy usage, their energy cost, energy efficiency, and all the different services that you support them with. So as background, before I dive in, a little bit about the BIA. As Chris mentioned, we are the state's leading business advocate. We serve a dual role as both our statewide Chamber of Commerce and State Manufacturing Association. Our vision, our mission is really to be the unifying voice of business and championing a competitive business climate for New Hampshire. We do that through advocacy at the state level, at the State House with our legislature and governor and state agencies, as well as working with our federal delegation. One quick example, we were heavily involved and a key advocate and ally in the work to preserve New Hampshire's energy efficiency programs in 2022 and 2023 during that issue being played out in the PUC and at the legislature. Just a little background on our membership. We represent more than 400 employers across the state, covering all industry sizes, all industry sectors. Collectively, those members employ more than 100,000 individuals and contribute more than $5 billion to our state's economy. And as the statewide chamber, we also work very closely with 45 regional local chambers across the state. They are fantastic partners and doing tremendous work in our local communities and regions, as well as dozens of trade associations who share similar policy priorities and legislative goals as we do. So, topic for today that I wanted to share is the current state of New Hampshire's economic competitiveness, and really want to look at this from a 50-state view standpoint. I think a lot of times in New Hampshire, we may be guilty of just talking and thinking about things from our own New Hampshire perspective. But really, when it comes to economic competitiveness, we have to have a national view of things. And business climates are assessed and graded and ranked on a state-by-state basis. And so we're competing against 49 other states, and how we stack up on different areas is really what matters when it comes to attracting jobs and investment and economic growth. So starting with our business tax climate, this is an area where we stack up pretty favorably compared to the rest of the country. Although, as we know, we have a pretty unique system here in New Hampshire. So overall, we rank 6th in the nation according to the Tax Foundation. But as we know here, we have very high corporate and property taxes and very low individual, no income tax and no sales tax. Folks have different opinions and preferences on how that may all flesh out, but for the purposes of this conversation, how it stacks up compared to other states ranks us quite favorably. So looking at population growth. So over the past several years, New Hampshire has seen some population growth actually ahead of national trends and the national average. This is a good news story in one sense. As a state, you want to be growing. But as we'll get into a little bit later, where we're growing and what sectors of what demographic sectors we're growing in is something we really need to pay attention to. So prime age population by state, again, this is a positive indicator. We're 13th in the country. That prime age is that mid-20s to early 40s, prime working age population. We're in the top third, top quarter of states. This is a good news story, something we want to continue. But there are some kind of warning signs that we need to be paying attention to down the road. And this is where a lot of other issues that I'll speak to, whether it's housing or childcare or the cost of living, really matter when we're thinking about maintaining this type of prime age population growth for the foreseeable future. Business formations. This is one where we're doing pretty well. We rank 18th in the nation in terms of business formations. This is one, frankly, where I'd like to see us doing a little bit better. There's a lot of different factors that go into this, but really what we most often observe is kind of the driving force behind business formations is the startup ecosystem, the ease of starting business. New Hampshire has a lot of strengths in this area, but you can always do better in terms of improving. You look at some of the other states on here in terms of business formations, there may be some outlier policies like in Wyoming and Delaware. Of course, in Delaware, we know they have very favorable laws for companies to base their businesses there. So that may kind of muddy the picture a little bit. But this is an area where we'd really like to break into the top 10. This is one of I think, the most important stories, and Chris just alluded to it, that we need to pay attention to. And really, I would argue, and at the BIA, we advocate for really focusing our policy growth, our policy issues at the State House around how do we maximize this opportunity. So over the last 4 or 5 years, we've seen a real strong growth in advanced industry jobs in New Hampshire ahead of the national average. So those advanced manufacturing, life sciences, This is that growth that we're seeing here. It stacks up really well. You can see we're outpacing other states in the Northeast on the Eastern Seaboard, aside from Maine, which is also experiencing some of that growth. And this is something where, we want this. This is the type of economic growth that we want. There's a multiplier effect to the economy for these jobs. So anything we can do to address all of the factors that assist in this type of job growth is exactly what we want to maintain. Similar story here on technology industry growth. This is very, very much tied to that advanced industry growth. Again, another view of it ahead of the US average. And this is part of, I think, our narrative challenge with New Hampshire is not many people would think of New Hampshire in terms of growing, in terms of advanced industry and technology industry growth over the last 4 or 5 years. And we have to do a better job as a state changing that narrative and educating people on what's going on here and why our business climate is favorable for those types of economic opportunities. And kind of a final view on this issue, state rankings for innovation scores. New Hampshire ranks 11th best. This is there's a Technology Innovation Foundation that does these rankings each year, takes into account a bunch of inputs. New Hampshire ranks 11th best. And again, this is not a narrative that is commonly thought of or that you see our name tied to as a state, but a major opportunity for us to kind of redefine the national identity of New Hampshire in terms of economic competitiveness and opportunity. So GDP per capita, GDP is a pretty standard baseline economic metric. And we're doing pretty well here. We're not beating the US average, but we're up in the top third of states, which is good from an overall economic competitiveness standpoint. And, really where I've come down on a lot of these rankings is we want to understand, is there a pathway for New Hampshire to find its way into that top 10? If you find your way into top 10, then you're going to start showing up more on those top 10 lists of best states for business, best states for economic competitiveness. And those types of rankings, that type of earned media matters a lot when it comes to site selectors and development officials and corporate interests around the country, around the world, when they're exploring new areas to expand into. So we're right on the cusp of a few of these metrics where if we just can improve a little bit incrementally, it'll start really changing the narrative around the state. So again, this is a different look compared to US average. Again, stacking up really well in the top third, but a little bit room to growth. I mean, by and large, if we can just inch above whatever the US average is, that puts us in a pretty strong position to tell a better story. Yeah, so this gives you a sense of where our economy has been growing over the past several years and where it's contracted a little bit in terms of non-farm employment. You can see that in construction and professional and technical services, those have really been the two major drivers in terms of employment growth. Government and leisure and hospitality are the two areas that have contracted a little bit. Manufacturing is down slightly. However, manufacturing GDP and manufacturing output has grown, and I think that's a sign of automation and continued investment there. So this is another look at that total manufacturing employment. Look at how we're just below where, in terms of employment, where a break-even point in the US average. But again, when you look at manufacturing GDP and overall growth, the sector in the state, especially compared to the Northeast, we're doing really well. Labor force participation, this is another one where New Hampshire stacks up really well. We're recognized as having an experienced, high-quality workforce. But as I'll get to in a few minutes, we've got some demographic trends coming up around the corner that are really existential in terms of the need for us to address the future of our workforce. Putting a lot of those things that we've talked about over the last few minutes together, this gives you kind of an overall look at the cost of doing business. This is from the CNBC rankings for the cost of doing business. And everyone has different opinions on different rankings from different media outlets. Whether we like CNBC or not, it is one of the rankings that a lot of folks pay attention to around the country, and we've backslid a little bit over the past several years, gone from 18th to 36th. On the regulatory front, in terms of business costs, this accounts for housing costs, energy costs. This is really where it's hurt our rankings a little bit, and something we need policymakers to take a close look at. And again, to that point on housing and housing costs, this is an issue everywhere. Housing supply and affordability is a challenge in every state, but it's particularly acute in New Hampshire. Prices are up almost 60% over the past several years, and that's not, of course, sustainable and has a major intersection with our workforce. So this gives a little bit different a look at some housing affordability metrics to consider: typical home price, percentage of households cost burdened by rent or mortgage. And as you can see, we're ranking down towards the bottom. And this is really an issue where we have to find our way out of this type of ranking as a state incrementally over the next decade. When it comes to workforce and ensuring that we have that prime age working population to allow our businesses to grow, housing is the first kind of pillar that you have to have in place in order to have people live here, work here, and want to make their home here. So this is not going to come as any surprise to all the folks here on the call, but as you know, the Northeast has some of the highest electricity and energy costs in the country. And just giving that 50-state view, energy and electricity prices have gone up everywhere over the past several years, over the past decade. But here in New Hampshire and in New England, it's been particularly significant. All the more reason that all the tools in the toolbox, like energy efficiency, developing new energy resources, exploring new ways to provide New Hampshire businesses with a competitive edge on energy, is particularly important. This is a real challenge. I was just testifying on an energy bill at the State House yesterday relating to industrial self-generation and net metering that we really have to address. This is a potential Achilles heel for our manufacturing sector that is really not sustainable. Infrastructure rankings, we do pretty well overall, 22nd, but that lags a few other areas. Our broadband expansion is kind of helping energy and transportation, which we rank behind on that. Next slide. No, I'm running short on time, so I'm just going to wrap up and hit the next few slides quickly. This is the most significant workforce slide that I could share this morning. 27% of New Hampshire's workforce is 55 or older. That is the highest percentage among all states. This slide, I would say, if you take one from today, this is it. This is the challenge for New Hampshire's economy going forward over the next 10, 20 years. We have to find a way to ensure that as our workforce moves into retirement age, more people can come here to replace them and enter the workforce, that high school graduates and young families can stay here and enter the workforce. This is really central to our economic competitiveness. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly, but this just gives another view of that same dynamic. And this gives you a sense of where that population change is happening. You can see in that young age cohort and in that middle age cohort is where we're losing folks, but we're gaining them later on in years as folks move here to retire, which is not a bad thing, but we have to balance that out with having that prime age population growth. This will give you the look at that issue by county. All counties are experiencing growth except for COAS. So just to wrap up, what we as an organization are doing about this, all of this data is from our Blueprint New Hampshire 2030 plan, which we'll be publishing next month, which lays out a roadmap for the future of the state's economy. And we have recommendations in 3 pillars: workforce, business climate, and innovation, to address these issues in the long term. Nothing's going to be solved in 1 year or 2 years or even 5 years. But our view is we need to have a long-range look at this and how to ensure the continued competitiveness of the state's economy. So just key takeaways and points for going forward. Despite some of those challenges, the business climate is positioned really strongly, and we have a lot of great opportunity for the years ahead. But we have to take that long-range view to address New Hampshire's biggest challenges. And I know for the BIA and all of our chamber community and trade associations, we feel like we have a lot of positive momentum with state policymakers to do just that. Appreciate the time today and the opportunity to share more with you all, and have a great session, and thanks again for the opportunity. I'll turn it back to Chris and the host to move on to the next part of the agenda.
Thank you, Mike, so much for being here. Thank you for your time, your words. Let's not look back on what we could have done in 2027, folks. Let's look back with pride as how we accepted the challenge. And with that, so that we can move on, we will see you in the breakout sessions and have a great day.